The corner, the corner, the corner. Hey, welcome. Come on into Cousin Ed's Corner. This podcast is where you'll find real, authentic conversation, organic conversation, unscripted, unfiltered conversation, like you're home with your cousin. It's all about life. It's about finance. It's about spirituality. It's about love and everything in between. I'm your host, Cousin Ed. I'm excited to bring you along on this journey. So sit back and listen in as we dive into a wide range of topics. I have some diverse guests coming on with an array of thoughts and opinions. My goal is to create a space all for us to connect and communicate. It's not really about me. It's about the community as a whole. Let's enjoy it. Let's sit back. Let's think about our past. Let's move into our future. It's about the corner, the corner, the corner. So no matter how you cut it or slice it, we're all here together. I'm just here to give you a piece of my heart, my mind, my soul, and my mentals. So sit back, relax, and enjoy another episode of Cousin Ed's Corner. The corner, the corner, the corner. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. What's going on, fam? What's going on, fam? We are back again. Cousin Ed's Corner, and this is when my sister wins, we all win. And as y'all know over here, we are winning today. I am honored. I am overjoyed. I am pleased. I am all the things you could think of to put a smile on my face and hopefully put a smile on your face to have this sister on today. I say it over and over again. The internet is a gift and a curse, and we are winning today with this sister coming to join us. Coach Christal, welcome to Cousin Ed's Corner.
Hey, Ed, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you for being a part of this. I found you, as like I said, the internet is a gift and a curse. I found you. You popped up in my algorithm, and my algorithm is something positive with sisters such as yourself. And I was like, man, I got to reach out to her. So I appreciate you responding back and definitely coming to Cousin Ed's Corner.
Yeah, listen, I totally agree that the internet is a blessing and a curse, right? Never in human history have we had access to so much information, but not a lot of time to practice using it. So just the actual idea of connection across time zones, dimensions, and lifestyles is already a miracle. So thanks for reaching out.
No, definitely. I wanted to, I always ask this question. I like to find out more about the person that we're talking to today. And I don't like the baby story and Pampers and this and other, but I like to find out who you are and what got you to the point you're at today. So if you can enlighten the audience, let them know, who is Christal Brown and what got you to the point you're at today.
Yeah, well, Christal Brown is a 3-syllable something that I have been called my whole life. Like, people usually don't just say hi, Christal, or hello. They always say my whole name. So like, it has become an entity before I grew into it, to the point where during the last probably 10 or 15 years, I've literally fallen down on my knees in my Bronx apartment and said, God, I'm so tired of being Christal Brown, right? And like, that will never happen again, because I realize what normal is like, and I would never want to be normal. And it just retooled for me all the things that did get me to that point of like being dropped off at the wrong place in a carpool, and then becoming a professional dancer because I got out of the piano lessons, and seeing the world through the lens of a performer from the stage, entering culture because my body can do what other people's body do, but I can't speak their language. Then becoming a professor and teaching at a prestigious institution that I would never have even known the name of, because it would never have gone in the circles of where I grew up. Being someone's mother, raising my soulmate, and understanding that this idea of connection is so transcendent beyond time and space. And then at some point, right along my early 40s, falling in love with myself and realizing that, oh, wow, this is the energy people have been getting from me, but now I get to give it to myself. So coming into that space, or this space where I am now, of having all of that experience to then use to quantify my knowledge and then share it with other people is kind of who is sitting before you now. But she's been a lot of different manifestations. I tell my clients all the time, like, the older versions of you are foot soldiers, and we don't need to try to bury them or kill them or be like they were the bad people. No. They are some hardcore warriors who got you right here. And although your future self might be the general, you need them soldiers to fight. So all of those crystals are still back there somewhere. And I just have been able to fall back in love with them and give them a new place in the reality we're building.
You just gave me so much out of that, and hopefully the audience picked up on their own pieces of it. But I have a question that I want to bring you back for this, but I'm gonna tease it right now.
Okay.
With me having a daughter and being a dad, what would you tell a young lady about those foot soldiers to get them there quicker? Let me say that much.
Yeah, I would tell my younger self that it all counts, and that the mistakes are not finite. And to keep score is to keep yourself stuck in someone else's system.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to come back and talk about that on another episode. I think it's very important for us, not only females, not only our sisters, our young sisters, but even what I found over this past couple of years, especially after COVID, for us to find our inner self and find out, what got us here. And you may not want to change it, but it got you to this point for a reason. So
yeah, I mean, even just to get to the kind of younger version of me, and I was raised by a father who lost both his legs in Vietnam, and this was in the 70s where no one was talking about PTSD. And although my parents were still in the same household, they were not in a relationship that supported anything other than the survival of the people within those four walls, right? And so as a young woman, what I learned is that love was about obligation. And so that type of love, in terms of people feeling, or any type of young person feeling as though people are obligated to love them, or that special love doesn't come unless there's outside attention, right, or validation. That's one of those precipices that I think many women struggle with far into their 40s, 50s, 60s, if they ever get over it, right? Because at the end of the day, it determines that your value is only worth what you can produce, not that you are valuable regardless.
Well, we're gonna have plenty of shows. So you said how their value. I think we can also talk about I heard somebody this week talk about the male's value feels that they have to produce as well to get validation. So let's table that for another episode. So we gave y'all a teaser on that.
Pleasure.
But no, I believe one of the videos that I saw was you doing push-ups and a workout and dancing, and I went down this whole rabbit hole. I'm like, yo, she's amazing. So I just heard that you say you formerly danced. Yeah. So you got dropped off. Go ahead and tell us that story about you getting into dancing.
Sure. So if anybody out there is trying to read the whole story or the plethora of these stories, there's a 30-day devotional called Steps and Stories, 30 Days of Growth with Grace. And one of the stories in there is called Mistakes into Miracles. And I was probably about 9 years old. And my best friend and we were in a carpool where after school, the mothers would drop us off at our after school activities. And I was supposed to go to a piano lesson, but my best friend's mother was a realtor at the time, and she was late for an appointment. And so she dropped me off. She had passed by my piano lesson by mistake, and she dropped me off with her daughter in a ballet class and was like, just stay here and I'll pick you up later. I'm so sorry. I'll tell your mama. And I sat there and watched my best friend take a ballet class and literally was like, I would much rather do this than play the piano. And went home and really started trying to barter with my mother, who said, well, you can try it for a little bit. We really couldn't afford it. But she really was hard set on me playing this piano. Now, let's just be clear about parenting, right? A lot of the pressures of children are to actually live out the dreams of the parents, right? And so at my mother's 70th birthday before she passed away, she finally admitted that she was making me take those piano lessons because she was supposed to take piano lessons. But instead of going to the lesson, she would take the money that her parents gave her, go around the corner to the candy store, and come back as if she took the lesson. So she was trying to cleanse her karma with me, right? So this whole thing of like, what we put on our children. So I'm in this ballet class, I'm watching it, I get I make this deal with my mother that if I keep playing for a little bit, I can still take dance classes. And so that works out for the first year. And then people start saying that I'm a good dancer, right? Now, my mother didn't believe that. She didn't really know what she was looking at, right? This is another thing. As parents, sometimes we can't see the gift in our children because we're so enamored with like just who we want them to be. So other people started saying, oh my God, Chris is really good at this, and so she finally relented and let me stop taking the piano lessons. And then I started taking more dance classes. By this time I'm 14 and I started actually teaching at the studio alongside my dance teacher, which is how I understood female entrepreneurship at the time. And what happened was I'm also a second child. So there's 8 years between my brother and I. Now, here we go. There's 8 years between us. There's a woman who's a burgeoning socialite. There are 2 children who are born to a man post PTSD, post-war, post 2 double amputations, right? So there's not a lot of space for emotion and time and care. So I really became a self-soother, and that the attention that I got from being outside the house really built my self-esteem and my confidence. So I was dancing from like 3:15 after school to like 10 o'clock at night. I was teaching there. I was cleaning the bathrooms on the weekend to pay for extra classes. I was on stages and plays. I was, doing all the things that closed the gap on the attention that wasn't present in my home, right? And so a lot of times people are looking for this story to come to an agreement with their immediate needs. But the real thing is no one in that situation, children don't really know what they need. I just knew that other people were clapping for me and I wanted more of that. Right. Which then led into my collegiate career as a dance and business major, which led to my original dream of, I'm going to go back to my hometown and be the first Black dance teacher. Then my father died. And then I got pushed out into the world of dance, where from my mother, I had learned to be a good socialite. So I can communicate well. I don't mind entering rooms. I've never met a stranger. And so my connections with people built a dance career that showed me the world and allowed me to do something that I never even thought I was good enough to do.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
All from a mistake.
Oh, right. A perceived mistake. Correct. Right.
But divine.
Divine. Right. Because there are no mistakes.
Yes. Divine.
Right.
So I got to ask this question. Your business is Steps and Stages. Is that part of the reason of the naming of the business? It
is. So the company started the concept started in 2017. The business started in 2020. 2017, I was coming back from a sabbatical from my professorship, and I started noticing that the concepts that I was teaching in dance and entrepreneurship were very similar. And I started to understand how much I knew that I thought everybody else knew, but they didn't really know. And so I started this kind of weekly vlog on Facebook called Steps and Stages. And I would start it off like, listen, y'all, I've learned a lot of steps and I've been on a lot of stages. Let me tell you what I know. Right. And so that turned into this concept of steps and stages being also steps towards transformation and stages of life. And that's how our coaching practice was built.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I like the monologue. Okay. Excellent. You call yourself the vision coach.
Yeah. Right?
So teaching people visions. I'm going to tie this all together from Steps and Stages, I believe, right?
Right. Because, as a dancer and then moving into choreography, what I think people might miss that is, it's kind of obvious, but if you don't do it, you don't really think about it this way. I have made a living putting my imaginings onto other people's bodies for people to witness them and make and call it valuable. Right. So that process is something that I've put into our coaching practice that allows people to tap into their intuition, engineer their imagination for the greater good, not to problem solve, or, strategize for the great doom and gloom that might happen. But like, what if you used your imagination for what it's really built for? And then creating that vision and building a bridge from that current reality to the preferred reality. So what a lot of people like to do is they like to call themselves life coaches. And for me, it doesn't really suit me because I don't want to help anyone engineer a life that seems successful to someone else. That's anti what I believe, right? We're all here to do a very specific thing. So I can't give you a bunch of worksheets and be like, great, you did it. Nice job. I'm your life coach, right? Like most of my clients get really frustrated because in the first 3 or 4 weeks of our program, there is no how to, because I don't even know what you want to build. Like I'm not going to give you a bunch of tools and they're not going to be useful. You're going to leave them in the shed, or the journal's going to stay in the box, or, the workout plan is just, it doesn't matter. You have to actually have a vision in order to know what you're building.
So it's really about the vision that you see yourself. Exactly. Excellent. So you talked about, you started not the YouTube, but the Facebook.
Yeah.
Started the Facebook. And now I see you also have Wisdom Wednesdays.
Yeah. We have a podcast called Wisdom Wednesdays. We actually have not, we actually took off recording the episodes this year because I've been speaking at a lot more in-person events. And so our schedules just, didn't align. But Wisdom Wednesday is a podcast that we created back in and I say we because I don't do anything by myself. It's a team of people over here. This is 2024. Wisdom Wednesday, I think, started in 2022. And it was really just to have conversations with amazing people who most people would never meet, similar to what you're doing, because we're all the time, we're really focused on getting to hear from the people at the top, and the middle is where the magic happens, right? There's so many people that can be proximate mentors for us, like proximate in our proximity, right? Very close to us, but we're so focused on the people at the top that we miss the teachers who are in our midst. And so I really wanted to give voice to those people in my life who have been teachers, people who I meet, who I think have been amazing executioners of their vision. And then allowing people to put together the space that it takes for people to go from what they're doing to what they would love. Because a lot of those stories get left out in the middle. We hear like, oh my God, I was down and out and now I'm a millionaire. Like we miss the middle altogether.
That was my next question for you, is your middle. So you spoke about, being able to teach at the school locally at home. You said you are now a professor. That middle piece is huge.
Yeah.
How did you say, okay, I want to teach this on a professional level, not choreographing, but teach this as a professor?
Yeah. It's interesting. And because we have to keep people in our lives long enough for them to remind us of what we said we wanted when we've forgotten. And I have 9 girlfriends who I've had since kindergarten. Some of them show me how much I've grown, and some of them help me keep growing. There are also some artists that I met when I was in undergrad, and one of them said to me, she was like, oh yeah, of course. Yeah, remember when you said you wanted to be a professor? And I was like, when did I say that? You forget the things that you've already said. And so in between that time that I'm like getting dropped off at the wrong place at a carpool, I'm dancing almost every day. When it's time to go to college, I don't know what else I would do but keep doing this, right? So the school conversation of where you're going to go got narrowed down to where can you major in dance in 1997. And like, this is 2024 and people think, oh, dance programs in colleges are natural. They were not all that back then, right? So where could you go? Where's the school that's going to accept your father's VA scholarship money? It can't be private. Like, there were all these stipulations that narrowed it down to where I went to school, which is the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. Now, I was basically trained, for those of your listeners out there who may understand a little bit about dance, I was trained as a white modern dancer.
Okay.
Right? So that's the understanding that my body had. But this body, this dark-skinned, 160-pound muscular body is not present in those archetypes or those professional dance companies out in the world. So the first thing I had to do was I had to find out where my body belonged, whether my skill set was there yet or not.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't really know how to do that. So I just was putting myself in situations to learn. And so I got an internship at American Dance Festival, the summer before my senior year. And I want to say to the people out there who are listening, especially the young people, they didn't pick me first. Somebody in front of me got the job, but then they dropped out and I showed up. So it doesn't matter. Don't get your panties in a ruffle. Don't get your ego messed up. Like, well, I wasn't the first choice. Who cares? Like, when the door opens, go. Right. So I wasn't their first choice, but it was the thing that changed my life because I got to be in the room with artists who were legends, and I wasn't in their class dancing for them. I was sitting on the couch or driving them to tea or having dinner at night, and I got to see them as people and they got to see me as a person. And that changed the way that I started to navigate my career in dance. I had a business degree as well, so I could think with them about things. I could help with logistics. I was called back the next year to be the dean's assistant and with Donna Faye Birchfield. And so these people started changing my life because of the relationships. And so when I got ready to say, well, I'm graduating, they were like, so what are you going to do? You should go audition for this person. You should call this person. And that's what became the family that supported my career because my biological family had no idea what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so that kind of led into me getting my first job with the West African Dance Company. It took me to the International Association of Blacks in Dance conference where I just kind of like got my mind blown of like, oh my God, there's a whole other world called Black dance. And I don't even know, don't even know what I'm supposed to do here. And so just those openings and those relationships and being open enough to see icons as people and allowing them to be human with me leveled the playing field in a way that allowed my career to move very organically. Right? Because I wasn't in the mindset of like, oh my God, this person, I can't talk to them. I shouldn't be. I didn't have that level of anxiety that my peers had because I had already sat in the room and like been like, oh, hey, Mr. McHale, Donald McHale, are you ready to eat? Are you ready to go? Like, having that human connection kept me from being so overwhelmed by sheer like brilliance that I kind of made, and I will say also I was young, right? So I made a lot of probably mistakes and rude comments to some really amazing people, and they were probably like, "Who this girl thinks she is?" But it's what I think gave me also the security to hold on to myself in a career that will take and take and take from you and leave you empty to the point where you need that validation from other people. And so I was really lucky and really blessed to have been so self-possessed, whether it be by ignorance or by, aptitude. It wasn't because I thought I was a better dancer, but it was just the fullness of who I am stayed intact in places where a lot of people got torn apart.
So graduating 22, 23, 24 years old. When did you go back to teach? Or did you start teaching immediately?
Yeah, so just to go back, right? I've been teaching at this point. I've been teaching other people's children since I was 14.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and so teaching has been the thing I thought I was going to do. So I just kept teaching everywhere I went to make a living.
Okay.
Right, whether that's teaching at a community program. When I founded my own dance company, In Spirit, in 2004, we became a vendor with the New York City Department of Education. So we were teaching and performing simultaneously. Teaching has never not been a part of my life. I think, there's that old saying that says, if you want to know, read. If you want to perform, practice. But if you want to master something, you teach it. Okay. Right. And so that's always been, I think, the cornerstone of my own development is that I've constantly been teaching everything I'm learning. Mm-hmm. And that gives me a refining tool to be able to teach basically anybody. Like, I don't think that everybody's supposed to be a professional dancer, but I do think that I have the skill to teach anyone how to integrate their imagination in their body.
When did you become a professor teaching?
My professorships began 2007. Yeah, okay. I had been a guest artist at several colleges up until then. And then I started being a professor, an assistant professor I was a visiting assistant professor beginning in 2007. I became an assistant professor on the faculty in 2012. I became a tenured professor in 2018, and this year I will be a full professor. So that's kind of like the stratosphere of professorships.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
So 5 years after graduating, you started teaching back at college.
Yeah. Oh, I got out of undergrad at 2001. I was teaching here at Middlebury, where I teach, by 2007, 2008. Yeah.
Excellent. Impressive. Now you spoke of your little man. Yeah, your heart.
He's my favorite person.
Yeah. I see some videos out there. Does he love dancing as well?
He does not. He does not. Okay, let me ask you. Actually, I take that back. Does he love to dance? Yes. Does he love it when people ask him, "Do you dance like your mom?" He's like, "No." Right. So he's 14 now. He has had a very intelligent body his entire life. He could probably teach my class because he's seen me teach it so many times. But right now he has channeled his physical energy into rowing. He's a rower.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's, for those of you who don't know what that means, it means like he's in a boat by himself on a river, just like paddling, just like going at it for speed, for accuracy, and he's not in a boat with other people. He's a sculler. And I think it brings out the best in him because he is one of those individual team sport kind of people. He's like, I will put my best to work for the greater good if we know what that's about, but let me do it my way.
Excellent.
Right? And so it's just really beautiful to watch him have that type of focus and solitude at the same time while just building up his own, like, this is what I'm made of. This is how I do it.
I see that glow in you, that pride in you. So that's excellent.
Yeah.
And continued success to him for that.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I want to have you back because you broke down a whole bunch that I want to go into. There's so much in there I want to unpack. So especially working on some things about our sisters, our young sisters out there.
Yeah.
Self-confidence and a whole bunch of stuff I see within you that I want to talk about that can help them in their growing path. So.
I love that. And we can talk about Project Becoming that we created, especially for young women to be able to do that. And that program is literally everything I would have wanted when I was that age.
Well, go ahead and give a teaser. What is Project Becoming?
So Project Becoming is a 5-strand curriculum that my dance company InSpirit and I developed back in the Bronx, probably around 2005. And then we taught it in every borough of Manhattan. It's been all the way to the UAE. During the pandemic, we developed it into a box where we mailed it to your house, and we were like, if you log on, we'll do it with you. These 5 questions about identity and beauty and purpose that young women don't get to answer because they think people expect a certain answer from them. And so our goal at Project Becoming has always been to help young women define their own success and be the leaders of their lives, right? Whereas it's different from like a Girl Scout troop or something like that, where you're basically saying, I'll do what you tell me, and if you give me a badge, that makes me a good person, right? That all that does is translate into the corporate world of women trying to climb the corporate ladder and losing themselves. And I see those women every day. Right. Mm-hmm. So what I wanted to do was find something that really integrated what I would have wanted when I was a young person, which was to just say what my questions were, my real questions, and people not answer them in colloquialisms or judgment, but just give me the information. Right. So a lot of times young women are afraid to ask because it feels like the answer is going to just be another TED Talk or like a lecture or like a judgment, So we were really that group of women that were like, listen, if your mama is mad that I said this, blame it on me, but here's what I really think, being honest with them.
Excellent. Yeah. And they can find that where?
You can get a Project Becoming box at crystalbrown.com/shop. There's some Project Becoming boxes there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So y'all hit a teaser. We're going to go into that and more details on the next episode. My sister, I truly appreciate you. This has been amazing. Like I said, I'm sitting down taking notes. I'm going to go back. Oh, one thing I did want to ask you about.
Yeah.
I saw on your page, Felicia Rashad.
Oh my God.
I cannot not mention that. Can you tell me about that experience?
Oh my God. Yeah, there's several moments in my life where, like, I tell my clients all the time, you got to tune in, track your takeaways, and position yourself for transformation. And being able to speak in a room that Felicia Rashad was leading as the Dean of the Arts at Howard University, I thought to myself, yeah, I know she works there, but she'll probably be there for a second and then she'll head out. And she sat through a presentation of mine for 2.5 hours and she did the work. And afterwards, she looked at me and she says, that kind of wisdom that you're displaying has to be earned. And the reason people hear you is because it's authentic. And I almost lost it. I was like, are you talking to me, Claire Huxtable? What is happening? How did this turn into my life? And so what I realized though is that, there are these spiritual frequencies in the world. And when people are honestly seeking their higher good, then they resonate with other people. I tell my clients, it's like a small beacon of light. And when you're asking the right question, the beacon of light goes off with the people who are able to bring that solution to you. And that light in her is so evident. And when she looked at me and said that, I was like, and so it is, right? I must be in the right place, right? So it was just really beautiful.
Woke up, right?
Right. And then I was like, oh my God, can I record this? She was like, yeah, I'll say it again. And I was like, oh my God. So yeah, it was a really God moment for me of a milestone in terms of, I don't want to get into, too much of this kind of historical perspective, right? But when we look back at spiritual texts from all different regions, all different practices, biblical, Messianic, all these things, right? There are places in the journey, whether people are going anywhere, where they stop and they build memorials or monuments or temples or altars to something. And those milestones, if we don't record those in our own lives as this is where my God light was visible, right? We have to remind ourselves that when we get all busy and frustrated and caught up in the swirl of other people's problems, that there have been moments in our lives that there are altars and monuments to our own growth. And by remembering those, we can trace our way back and go forward even faster.
Definitely. This is powerful right here. If you have enjoyed this, please be sure to go to cousinedscorner.com, leave a voicemail there, go to the top of the page, leave voicemail, or on any social media platform, go to Cousin Ed's Corner and leave me a DM. Can you please give them your information, they can find you, where they can find you at?
Yes, Ed, I'd love to. Listen, y'all, if you're out there and you want to check in about what your vision could look like, you can jump over to stepwithcrystal.com. Crystal is spelled Christal. Stepwithcrystal.com. Schedule a call or jump over and follow us on the socials. It's at Coach Christal. If you don't have tickets to the 3B Women's Conference, make sure you jump over to 3bwomen.com. And if you just want to make sure that you're not missing out, like and subscribe all the socials, Coach Christal, and we'll make sure you're in the loop about all the things vision based.
Did y'all hear the voice? It's radio bound. Yeah, heard. Y'all heard it for yourself. Listen, we enjoyed you. I always tell everybody, listen, the brown is below the cabinet, the clear is above the cabinet. Use any cup you like.
Hey.
You are welcome back anytime. The Cousin Ed's Corner, the keys under the mat.
Thank you, Cousin Ed. I really appreciate it.
All right. Hey, fam, we out of here. We love you. Peace.
This is Coach Christal, the Chief Visioning Officer of StepsandStagesCoaching.com. And when I'm not listening to Cousin Ed's Corner, I'm building visions. But I think you should tune in because this brother is powerful and the conversations go everywhere.
Hey, y'all. Aisha here, founder and CEO of the Sistahs in Business Expo, the country's only multi-city small business expo and community created to celebrate and educate entrepreneurial women of color. Be sure to tune in to the next episode of Cousin Ed's Corner. And remember, when my sister wins, we all win.
This episode of Cousin Ed's Corner was brought to you by the Sistah Shop. Please be sure to visit them at thesistahshop.com. That's thesistahshop.com. thesistahshop.com. Thank you for listening to Cousin Ed's Corner.